So, can Dak Prescott take these Dallas Cowboys to the next level? Can the receiving core for the Chiefs be able to get it together to make a good deep run to the playoffs? And was this one of the craziest weeks in NFL history? Well, we're going to try to find an answer to that question and many more as we get you ready for Super Wild Card Weekend. That's right, people. We are in the postseason now. My boys are here with me. Hopefully, all of you are here with me right now. It is time once again for Fantasy Football Fever, which starts right now. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football Fever. It is great to have you with us. It is Friday night, January 12th, 2024, and it is that time of year. After 18 weeks of competition, we have finally arrived here. It is time to start the 2023 NFL playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
That's right, Coach. We are here in the playoffs, and I've got my boys here. We got so much to talk about. Of course, me, Tim McClellan, this man, John Flynn, and this man, John Natale here. What's up, guys?
Yeah, doing great. I'm just glad to be in the house because it is a really cold day out here. We got our coldest day of the year so far.
Whoa.
Our high today was only 2 degrees. Right now it's -4.
Oh, how's it up there, Flynn?
So I mean, we got to 50 degrees today, but I think it's a couple because our coldest day of the season is coming up this week. We might get like a few inches of snow on Tuesday in the Interstate 95 corridor, but it's nothing going to be compared to what the Arrowhead and Orchard Park will have to deal with this weekend. Of course, in Arrowhead. Maybe the third coldest game in the history of the NFL, behind the Ice Bowl and the Freezer Bowl tomorrow night. And one of the cold, maybe the coldest or the second coldest night game in NFL history. So what I wonder what this is going to be called at the end. The Polar Bowl? Is it going to be called the Arctic Bowl or whatever it is? We'll have to deal with that, and then the Bills fans going to be dealing with the lake effect snow out of Lake Erie on Sunday, where Orchard Park might get up to a foot of snow.
Well, it's going to be very, very cold down here in Texas. We got to about mid-40s today, but I understand that overnight from Monday or maybe Monday into Tuesday, they have been talking about maybe a little bit of snow coming here to Texas, but we ain't got nothing to worry about because the roof is going to be closed at AT&T Stadium, so it's going to be nice and toasty in there.
Yeah, and three of the games this weekend are going to be indoors, and the other game is going to be in Tampa, Florida.
So got some pretty good weather here, but. Before we get to the games, guys, I gotta tell you, I've been keeping up with NFL for a long time now, and I'm sure you guys have. I don't think that we have been through a week like the last few days. I mean, it has been absolutely topsy-turvy, up and down, inside out, and backwards. I mean, it has been crazy, crazy, crazy. Starting with a lot of head coaches getting their pink slips, including Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel, Ron Rivera, Arthur Smith, and the great Bill Belichick has decided to part ways with the Patriots. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Hey, Flynn, uh, you did keep that one graphic that we had from last year, right?
Sam, I believe we do. Let me retrieve it for us just a second.
All right,
Give me one
because
moment.
if some of y'all remember watching us last summer, we did a little piece on each of us picked 5 head coaches that we thought would be on the hot seat coming into the 2023 season. So I wanted to bring this graphic up to kind of give a little comparison as to what we thought would happen compared to what has happened recently. So while Flynn takes a look at that, I think two of us two of us guessed that Ron Rivera would be gone, and well, he
Yeah.
is. Oh, and we have someone saying hello. Hey,
Alex.
Alex, my man. Greetings and salutations. The same to you, sir. Hope you're doing good down there in Florida. Thanks for watching, buddy. Thanks for supporting me, as I always support you, my friend. So, yeah, those Dolphins have a real tough one in Kansas City. It's gonna be like I think 4 degrees at Arrowhead at game time. So
Yeah, and when you factor in the wind, it's going to be below zero. But
right, it is going to be one chilly, very very cold Arrowhead Stadium. I tell you right now.
yeah, but I think we did want to start with Belichick because that was the creme de la creme because of the unbelievable legacy that Belichick has carved up not only with the New England Patriots but for the NFL as a whole. So
Oh,
so
definitely.
yes
And he is, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, 15 wins away from breaking Don Shula's all-time wins record.
yeah, I think that's somewhere along those lines. I think that's a fair fair guess.
Yeah, and an interesting question came up on one of the shows this morning I was watching before I went to work, and I was wanting to get your guys' opinion on it. Um, who really made the Patriots better? Was it Belichick or was it Brady?
Brady.
I think both contributed greatly because it's because remember the first part of the Patriots dynasty was all about the defense. So when you're thinking about um the guys you might think of from those Patriots defense is like Ty Law, Teddy Bruschi and Rodney Harrison and Mike Vrabel, who we'll get to as a coach in a second. But that was the coaching scheme that Belichick dialed up, and was maybe a bigger reason why the Patriots won those Super Bowls in the first place because again this was still the point in Brady's career that point in Brady's career where he was such an effective game manager. He wasn't turning the ball over, and he was putting the ball out of harm's way. But then after the Patriots got Randy Moss, that's when Brady put up the video game levels numbers that we were accustomed to seeing for the better part of a decade and a half, whether it was with the Patriots or a couple of 3 seasons in Tampa Bay with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So yes, so I think both needed each other. But again, Belichick missed the playoffs in 8 of 10 seasons as an NFL coach without Tom Brady as his quarterback. Remember, you're going back to his days with the Cleveland Browns, and up until 2020, Bill Belichick was the coach of what was the Browns' most recent playoff victory in 1994. So you factor that in. That you're thinking about last season, for example, the Patriots were a win away from making the playoffs with a superiorly inferior roster to some of the other teams in the AFC, like Buffalo, Kansas City, and and Cincinnati, Baltimore, all of those had in superior rosters, and Belichick almost got them to the playoffs. If they didn't choke away that Raider game in Week 15 last year. You also had the year where Belichick led the Patriots to the playoffs with Mac Jones in his rookie season as the quarterback, and also if you remember the Patriots the year Brady tore his ACL in the first week of the season in 2008. The Patriots went 11-5 that year with Matt Castle as the quarterback, and they missed the playoffs on tiebreakers. Those were some of those were the non-Brady highlights of Belichick, and then of course I think an underrated story of the Malcolm Butler interception in the Super Bowl was that the Patriots practiced that the play that the Seahawks ran with the slant route where they tried to jam the defensive backs and knowing that Malcolm Butler had to read the coverage. And then he came up with the interception because they practiced it and he recognized it on game film. So, but the very strict attention to detail is what made Belichick maybe the greatest defensive mind that we've seen in the NFL. And then, of course, as the defensive coordinator, I think the highlight of that was of his time as a defensive coach or defensive coordinator was the game plan for the Bills Giants Super Bowl where they wanted Thurman Thomas to run for 100 yards because they didn't want to get into a game where Jim Kelly threw the ball 40 times because that offense was so that was when the no huddle became afloat. So either way, incredible legacy left behind by Bill Belichick of the New England Patriots. I will be going to the Hall of Fame when he is eligible.
Oh yeah, definitely. Anything you want to add, Natale?
Yeah, I was kind of coming back on. I mean, I admire his legacy, but he just wasn't the same manager when Brady left. Like Belichick looked lost. He looked confused. Like he didn't know what to do. Like Brady was his one-hand man, you could say. Without Brady, that the team was basically pathetic, you could say. Ever since Brady left, Belichick's way of coaching was different. He just looked lost. He looked confused. He didn't know what to do. So for me, I think he's overrated as a coach. Great coach, but overrated. But let's just say hypothetically, he never met Brady. Who knows what his legacy would be like today?
Right. So, if Belichick decides to go somewhere else to coach, where would be the best landing spots?
I think for him, I would say the Chargers because he has a play because I think he has a place out in California and they have a superstar a star quarterback who the Chargers wasted for 3 years on the Brandon Staley and Justin Herbert. And Justin Herbert can throw the ball a mile. So I think having Belichick. And really to fix that defense too, because the Chargers defense was atrocious, because they had a lot of injuries and they didn't have and because they have a lot of big contracts under the table for next year. That it's going to be interesting what the Chargers are going to do. Of course, they got to hire a general manager first because he also fired Tom Telesco. So I want to know that. So we need to see who the GM and the head coach is, because that might be an indicator of what's going to transpire here. So, but the Patriots did hire Gerard Mayo as the new head coach. So of course he played with the Patriots for a few years. He was a two-time Pro Bowl a couple of times. Was an All-Pro one year. Won a Super Bowl with them. So. And he coached the Patriots inside linebackers for the last 5 seasons.
Hmm. Be interesting what he does, bringing his player knowledge to the coaching platform now. Want to say hey to Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Daniel, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Hope you're doing good. Hope you enjoyed the playoffs, buddy. Tell your friends about us. So, thanks for watching again. So, one legendary head coach is gone from one team. Now we got to go to another, and that's the great Pete Carroll. He is out at Seattle. However, he's not really he's out, but he's not out. So he is going to remain with the team as an advisor. So the question is, who would take the head coaching spot there?
Yeah, I think the name I saw more than most for that Seattle job is Dan Quinn. Because he was Seattle's defensive coordinator who coordinated the Legion of Boom defense at the peak of Seattle, of what should have been a dynasty for Seattle, but of course it wasn't, because Pete Carroll decided not to give the ball to Marshawn Lynch at the 1 yard line at the Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not an exciting hire, because if you think about what Dan Quinn did in Atlanta with all the blown leads, especially the 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl against Belichick and the Patriots, that's not inspiring, but it definitely looks like Dan Quinn is going to be a hot commodity as a head coach this offseason. More so than last year, because remember, Dan Quinn was in the discussion to take the Broncos job before it went to Sean Payton.
Dan Quinn. Boy, it'd be kind of tough. It would be kind of tough to part with him because, as you mentioned, he helped build the Legion of Boom with that Seattle defense, and of course, he has currently helped the Dallas Cowboys defense into the big, strong unit that they are right now. But
yeah. And I also want to see what Natale thinks, because of course Natale lives in a state with a lot of Seahawks fans. So what was the fan perception of Pete Carroll when in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, he was very well liked. A lot of people love him. He's a very solid head coach. Yeah, nobody really saw it coming. It was very unexpected.
Yeah, I did see a stat that at one point the Seahawks were played in 98 straight games where they led, tied, or were trailing by only one score entering the fourth quarter in 98 consecutive games.
Wow.
So it's just to show you how consistent it was. I think consistency is a good word that to describe the Pete Carroll Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So whoever takes that job will be kind of working for that team.
And like whoever takes that job, I think it's going to need to get help with from the offensive line. I think they're going to need to improve the secondary. So I think Dan Quinn might be an immediate fix for Seattle, but I think that you're going to need a good offensive coordinator if he takes the job. But that was the name I heard the most so far. Again, things are such change, but we'll see what happens there.
And we'll also have to see what happens in New England with Belichick leaving there, because one of Belichick's great players, Mike Vrabel, was recently fired as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, and his name has definitely come up to be the new head coach in New England.
Yeah, I get because I made a post like 5 years ago. I loved Mike Vrabel as a head coach because I think you saw because I think down the stretch of last season of the 2018 season, sound that I thought the Titans played a really good brand of football that they missed out on the playoffs by one game that season, and I knew that he was good. He was a special coach, and the year. The fall after I made those comments, he took the Titans to the AFC Championship game, and then the following year won the division at 12-4. And then the following year they were the 1 seed in the AFC. But if he was and that year he was the coach of the year, but then after they traded AJ Brown, it was the entire organization fell apart, and it cost John Robinson, the guy who made the trade, his job, and the lack of offense without AJ Brown cost him his job as he lost 18 of his last 24 games as the coach of the Titans. And he didn't have a quarterback to back him up because wasn't believe in Tannehill, but I still would not have fired Mike Vrabel. I think he is that kind of coach, so who can get a team focused, and I think any of the remaining teams would love to have Vrabel as a coach this year.
Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of leaning toward
Yeah.
Natale. Anything on Vrabel?
No, I didn't really hear much of anything. But yeah, that one shocked me the most. Maybe more than the Pete Carroll firing. But they're probably about the same. Both of them are probably equally as shocking. Hard to pick which one was more shocking.
So so between Pete Carroll's dismissal and Mike Vrabel's dismissal, which one do you think was the bigger mistake?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a really, really tough one. If I had to pick, I would say probably the Pete Carroll one, but it's very close. Maybe like 51-49. That's how close it is.
Yeah, Tim, which one of those two do you think was the bigger mistake?
Maybe Vrabel. I don't think it was really all his fault. I would have probably given him one more season.
Yeah, most definitely. So we'll definitely need to see what happens there.
Yeah, definitely. Now, one head coach that got fired was a top name on the list that we had last summer for coaches that were on the hot seat. And we all said Ron Rivera.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, this past weekend, after their loss against the Cowboys, Ron Rivera got his pink slip.
Yeah, but I mean that was an easy one, guys. It's how it's because of the new ownership. Yeah, I think there were times where Ron Rivera couldn't coach his way out of a paper bag, but it wasn't really his fault because the organizational dysfunction was probably at its peak. During this time because of Dan Snyder and all the revelations coming out of him and all of the times he had to testify to Congress for workplace misconduct, and Ron Rivera was a victim of that. But speaking of Washington, they did announce that they hired Adam Peters to be their next general manager. And look, I think this is the place where Washington now finally enters the reality of the NFL world, and I think this is a fabulous hire by Washington. Adam Peters was the assistant general manager for the 49ers for many years and helped John Lynch build that juggernaut of a roster. So I think that's an outstanding hire by Washington.
Yeah, I say now that the Dan Snyder days are history, I think better days will be coming for the Commanders here, maybe in the next couple of years.
Yeah, but I mean, it's gonna take a couple of. I think it's gonna take a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years to build a team that's gonna be ready to go to the playoffs because you got to find your quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And Washington will have that chance because they have the number 2 pick in the draft, and they have some amazing quarterback prospects available this year. I think to 3 of them, I think could be stars. So I think you figure that to be the case.
Yeah, it could be. Natale was correct on one coach on his list. He just got his walking papers this week. Arthur Smith let go as the head coach of the Falcons.
Yeah, despite me being the only person correct on that, I got the least amount right. I got 2, while each of you guys got 3.
Yeah.
So I guess Arthur Smith is gone in Atlanta. And of course, my thing with Atlanta, they had a gold mine sitting right in front of them, but they treated him as if he was bronze or in something, you know.
Yeah.
This being a fantasy football type show, Bijan Robinson from Texas, he was slated to be a top tier running back. He had great numbers in college. He was right there. He was going to be a rising star. And they were just blowing smoke. I still don't get it. I mean, help me out, Atlanta. What were y'all doing? What were y'all thinking? Had a pot of gold.
I mean, the crazy thing is we were talking about Bijan Robinson all off season. That was a huge question and a huge topic in the fantasy world leading up to the draft, and he was a consensus first round pick in fantasy drafts. Who you took him, Natale, with the 7th pick, or
no, I got him off the waiver wire.
Yeah,
Tim dropped him, and I picked him up.
Yeah, so Tim drafted Bijan Robinson, and the thing is, like, he did not even get to 1,000 yards this season, and he only got 20. He only got 20 carries once this season, in a game, just once.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
but
yeah. Speaking of Atlanta, what should the next head coach of the Falcons do with Robinson and his backup, Tyler Algier?
Yeah, I think that this was why I was so curious on why the Falcons drafted Bijan Robinson in the first place, because of how Tyler Algier finished last season, and he was one of the best running backs in fantasy football during last year's fantasy playoffs. But I think the Falcons could have used it on something else, whether it was their defense, whether it was another wide receiver, or anything on that accord. So I think you gotta formulate a plan where Bijan Robinson gets the ball 20 times a game.
Right. All right. So I think it's going to be happening with Atlanta, trying to find their new head coach and trying to get the offense together. Speaking of young players, I want to talk about one particular player, Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua, who I opinion has one of the coolest names I've ever heard. He had a rookie season, finished, it was one of the best rookie seasons for any wide receiver or any rookie for that particular matter. Finished I think he finished number 4 among wide receivers in fantasy.
Yep, you would be correct, Tiny Tim.
So it looks like Nakua's future is pretty bright in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and I mean, especially, yeah, especially with especially as long as Sean McVay is still there and Matthew Stafford's still there, giving him the football, and look, Puka Nacua. Right, Puka Nacua had a golden opportunity to right away because you had the injury to Cooper Kupp, and he took full advantage of it in the first 4 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm. So I'm seeing good things from that guy right there because he was like one of my top fantasy players in one of my leagues. So
yeah, he finished the season with 105 receptions, 1,486 receiving yards, and 6 touchdowns. And he finished as the number 4 wide receiver in fantasy football this season, behind CeeDee Lamb, who finished number 1 thanks to his performance against Washington. So CeeDee Lamb had not been ranked number 1 overall entering the week until he leapfrogged Tyreek Hill the last week of the season. So he finished as the number 1 receiver. Said Tyreek Hill, number 2. Amon-Ra St. Brown, number 3. And Puka Nacua finished 4th.
Yeah, I guess we're all kind of high on Amon-Ra St. Brown because of a good season he had last year. I knew it was going to kind of follow it up with a even more impressive season this year. So and of course, Lions in the playoffs, thanks to his contributions to the team there.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, I was very critical of the Lions draft this year because I wasn't a fan of teams using the early first round pick on running backs because running backs are so easily expendable. But they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. They drafted Sam Laporta. They drafted a good linebacker in Jack Campbell, who I thought played pretty well as well. So I think all those things considered, you have that the Lions used a completely different method of drafting with Brad Holmes, the general manager, and it worked this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's going to be pretty cool here. There's one other young player who I want to talk to you about. Talk about the Giants' star running back Saquon Barkley. And I think I may have heard he may be in talks for maybe a contract extension.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that the thing with Saquon Barkley was that because he got the franchise tag last year because the Giants had to choose whether or not to franchise tag Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley because both were free agents at the end of the season.
Right.
And so they decided to give Daniel Jones the long-term contract, which has so far been a disaster, and handed Saquon Barkley the franchise tag. So I think what's going to happen if the Giants give him the franchise tag again? Is he going to budge? And what is it going to take for the Giants to bring back Saquon Barkley? Because it's not going to help when he gets battered and bruised because of poor offensive line play. Because according to Pro Football Focus, in 3 of the last 4 years, the Giants had the 31st ranked offensive line in the NFL according to PFF. The one exception was last year when they made the playoffs where they were ranked 19th. But the Giants did make a move. They fired Bobby Johnson, their offensive line coach, and they brought in Carmen Brasillo, the Raiders offensive line coach, to take over. And I think that's a strong hire because Carmen Brasillo's offensive lines have been pretty good over the last couple of seasons, and
I think they're ranked 13th this season.
Yeah. And I think it would be so amazing to see what Dable can do when he gets competent offensive line play, which he never had, which Shermer, Judge, and Dable haven't had at a nearly consistent level enough, and we'll see if he can get those to the top. Now, one of the reasons why I was so critical of the Raiders in the year they got Devontae Adams in a trade, because everyone's talking about the Raiders as media darlings, and I disagreed because of their offensive line play. But if you look at the body of work Josh Jacobs did last season, who was unbelievable. So I think ran for 1,500 yards last year, led the league. A lot of it had to do with Carmen Brasillo turning that offensive line from one of the worst to an above average group. So fingers crossed that he can do the same for the New York Football Giants.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see on the future of that young stud right there, because he is definitely one talented player for that New York Football Giants team. I will say that.
Yeah, and you also got to remember who's been the heart of the defense lately, who's a free agent to be soon. Xavier McKinney.
Yeah,
he's going to be a free agent.
I remember Xavier McKinney and Bobby Okereke were the only two players to play every snap of the season for a team in the NFL.
You talk about consistency right there. I mean, it's 18 weeks. You got 17 games to play. I mean, it's very difficult, that business, but kudos to those guys for sticking into it.
Yeah. I thought Xavier McKinney had his best game as an NFL player on Sunday against Philadelphia. He was fabulous, stopping that Eagles offense. But we'll get to Philly's game later on.
Right, definitely. They just recently released the list for the all pros for this season.
Yes, they did. Because
and look at that. Without any hesitation, Mr. Flynn just pops it right up there for all of us to see. And looks like at quarterback Lamar Jackson, who I say would probably be most likely the front runner for a league MVP this year.
I think because you usually first team All Pro quarterback is usually the league MVP. Not always, but usually.
Yeah, a lot of people say it'll be Lamar Jackson. Some people may say it could be Dak Prescott. Some might say it could be Christian McCaffrey for the Niners. And it looks like we got some Niners in there, including their fullback, Kyle. I can't pronounce that name.
Kyle Juszczyk.
Kyle Juszczyk. Okay. And along with George Kittle, San Francisco. And among the wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown. We mentioned those earlier.
Yep, they were your top 3 receivers in fantasy this year.
Now, looking at the offensive linemen, Trent Williams from San Francisco, Joe Thuney from Kansas City, Jason Kelsey, snapper for Philadelphia, Zach Martin from the Cowboys. I'm telling you, like I said, Zach Martin is probably the best offensive lineman the Cowboys ever had since the Hall of Famer Larry Allen.
Yep, and more importantly to me, I think he was from Notre Dame.
Penny Sewell from Detroit, rounding out the offensive lineman first team. Defensive players, the edge rushers. I definitely have to agree with Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. Those guys are pretty much beasts. I mean, there's nobody that can escape those two. Interior linemen include Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, Kansas City. Linebackers include Fred Warner from 49ers, who has been pretty good on my fantasy league this year.
Yeah.
Roquan Smith and Quincy Williams. Corners, Deron Bland. I mean, what can we say about Deron Bland?
Yeah, but
we thought that when when Trayvon Diggs went down with that season-ending injury, it seemed like who was going to fill in for him. Not only did DaRon Bland fill in for him, but he just performed like gangbusters.
Yeah, but like, is it like okay? This okay. The voters look at Javon Bland. They look at the numbers and the pick sixes are great, but like, is the most important quality in a corner is whether or not you return interceptions for touchdowns. Like I can't get over that. So, because you have to do more important things as a corner, right? In terms of coverage, in terms of covering receivers, making sure the receivers a team doesn't go to them because of the target doesn't target the receiver that you're covering, and you gotta make tackles. But I felt DaRon Bland was a little inconsistent down the stretch. So, and like I view the All Pro teams as more important than the Pro Bowl, but I vehemently disagree with this.
Interesting. Well, I'm not saying that I disagree with it. I mean, I'll take it, but it's kind of a surprise the way I think about it. I mean, yeah, and I do agree. Getting pick sixes, it's great and all, but there's a lot more. There's a lot more techniques that goes into a corner than just returning interceptions for touchdowns. Let's see here. Sauce Gardner representing the Jets. You got the nod there, as well as Trent McDuffie, a slot corner for Kansas City. Safeties include Kyle Hamilton from the Ravens and Antoine Winfield Jr. from Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Kyle Hamilton, that guy I loved at Notre Dame before, and I knew Kyle Hamilton was going to be was another home run from Eric DeCosta, and he's been outstanding, and by the way, Myles Garrett and TJ Watt were top two were preseason were my top two for defensive player of the year, and what those are the two most likely candidates to be the defensive player of the year.
Agreed. I agree. I'll give a tip of my hat to both of those guys. Whichever one wins it.
Yep.
Looking at the first team special team players. Place kicker Brandon Aubrey. I mean, what a rookie year he had.
Not surprised at all. He was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his streak may have came to an end last week in Washington, but still an awesome season for that young man. AJ Cole, the punter for the Las Vegas Raiders. Kick returner, Keyshawn Nixon from Green Bay.
Yes, he was he was an underrated reason the Packers made the playoffs this year because special teams were fabulous for Green Bay, and they made it easier. He made it a lot easier for Jordan Love and that offense to operate and give him more room for error.
Then you have Rashid Shaheed, don't make my heart bleed, from the New Orleans Saints. And then special teamer Miles Killebrew from Steelers. And long snapper Ron Batisic from the Jacksonville Jaguars rounds out the first team All-Pros. And I believe that we even have a list of the second team, don't we, sir?
Yes, we do. And here we go.
There we go. At quarterback, Rayne Dakota Prescott from Mississippi State, representing the Cowboys there. Running back, Kyron Williams. Yes, I'll tip my hat to Kyron Williams. He has really come on strong for those Rams this year.
Notre Dame guy.
Patrick Ricard from Baltimore, selected for the fullback position. Sam Laporta, the tight end for the Detroit Lions. He has been one of my favorite players all year. I've been impressed with this guy. He could be, he's my dark horse candidate for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Wide receivers include A.J. Brown from the Eagles, another great rookie, Puka Nacua from the Rams, Brandon Ayuk from the Niners, and Mike Evans from Tampa Bay. All great, talented receivers right there.
It's yeah, and it should be noted with the asterisk that Brandon Ayuk and Mike Evans finished tied for that last All Pro receiver spot. So they both get All Pro honors this year.
And looking at the left tackle and the left guard, you have Tyron Smith and Tyler Smith, both from the Cowboys. Tyron Smith, in my opinion, could be a Hall of Famer someday. I mean, I'd say Zach Martin would be a first ballot Hall of Famer if you ask me. Tyler Smith has really come on, but my only problem with Tyler Smith, he makes a few too many false starts. But I mean, he's a young guy. He'll get it together. Frank Ragnow from Detroit gets the center position. Atlanta's Chris Lindstrom at right guard. And Lane Johnson, the right tackle from the Eagles. Oh, I don't know what's wrong with my throat here. I gotta take a sip here. Y'all, excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, and while so I guess so Tim is back now.
Anyway, looking at the defensive side for the second team, Micah Parsons, Max Crosby, Dallas and Las Vegas, respectively. I mean, Micah Parsons, he is still a beast. I mean, I cannot say enough about the guy that Skip Bayless calls number 11 from heaven. Looking at the interior lineman, Justin Madubukie from Baltimore and Dexter Lawrence from your New York Football Giants.
He should have been first team All Pro. I thought he got robbed.
Definitely.
I thought he was the best interior defensive lineman in the NFL this season. Like his PFF grades were constantly in the 80s and the 90s. I thought he got robbed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think had the Giants win more early on, I think the voters would have seen more of the genius of Dexter Lawrence. But that's my theory.
Yeah. Very good one. I agree.
Okay, for the linebackers, you have the Saints, Demario Davis, the Seahawks, Bobby Wagner, and Patrick Queen from the Ravens. At the corners, you have Jalen Johnson from the Bears and Shavarius Ward from the Niners.
Mm-hmm.
Slot corner, Taron Johnson from the Bills, and the safeties, Jesse Bates III from the Falcons and Justin Simmons from the Broncos. Special team stars, place kicker, Jake Elliott from the Eagles. Punter, Brian Anger from the Cowboys. Marvin Mims, kick returner from the Broncos. Darius Davis, a punt returner from the Chargers. Special team player, Jalen Reeves Maven from the Lions. And Andrew DePaula from the Minnesota Vikings as the long snapper. So that's pretty much the all-pro teams that was just recently announced this week. Congratulations to all of them. And I see by the old clock on the wall, it is time once again. Yes, maybe it might be season, but it's time to test your brains again, y'all. It's time for another edition of Tim's Tough Trivia.
I believe all of us have questions this week.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, we all do here. So for all y'all watching, and for all those that you might be watching later, here we go. Here is my question first. We'll start with this one, and it has a wild card theme to it. Listen to this.
All right.
With a win over the Texans this Saturday, Joe Flacco will have 6 career wins as a quarterback on Wild Card Weekend, which will be the most in NFL history. Right now, he is tied with another quarterback with 5 wins on Wild Card Weekend. So the question is, Who's the other quarterback?
I might have
Next
a couple of
question.
ideas.
Next question.
Yeah, Flynn, you do yours next, since you said you had one before I did.
Yes. So my question pertains to a fantasy football, to a discussion in fantasy football. So I did a bit of a research. So who had the most rushing attempts in one single game this year in the NFL? Which running back had the most rushing attempts in a single game in the NFL this season?
Ooh, interesting.
Good one.
I got a couple in mind.
I only got one off the top of my head, but I don't know if it's going to be the right one, though. And Natale, you had a question as well?
Yeah, mine has to do with divisional history points here. All right, but first we're going to go by the pre-Super Bowl era. In the pre-Super Bowl era, the Chicago Bears scored the most points in a playoff game with 73 by defeating Washington 73-0 on December 8th, 1940. So with that being said, my question is going to be pertaining to the 21st century. Which team? Well, I'll give you guys the options. I'm going to be generous today. You could decide to pick the winner or the loser. What do you guys want to go? What do you guys want to guess? The winner or the loser?
I think I know the game you're talking about. So what do you think? Winner or loser, Tim?
Probably winner.
All right, you want to guess the winner? That's fine. Let's say. Well, I'll say maybe if Flynn picks a loser, I'll break the tie. So Flynn, what would you rather guess, the winner or the loser?
I mean, it doesn't matter because I think I know where you're going with this.
Oh,
So we'll pick the.
Yeah,
so we'll do winner.
My question is going to be, which team scored the most points in a divisional round game in the Super Bowl era? Remember, we're excluding the Chicago Bears from this because this was the pre-era. We're going by this century right now. Which team scored the most points in a divisional round playoff game?
One comes to mind right now.
Wait. Do we want to do our guesses? Do we want to do our guesses now or after picks?
I think we did all of ours after the picks.
So let's we'll go to our picks. Remember, folks, it's the person who is the quarterback tied with Joe Flacco for most wins on wildcard weekend. Person who had most rushing attempts this year, and the team
in one game. Not the whole season. In one game.
Yeah, one game. Most rushing attempts in one game, and the highest scoring team in a divisional round.
In a divisional round playoff game, yes.
A divisional round playoff game.
Okay, since I'm frozen now, I'm going to switch to my phone. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, then. While he goes in the switches to his mobile, just 6 games this weekend, but they look like they're going to be pretty big because records don't mean anything right now. Win, you're in. No, win and you move on. You lose and you go home. It's quite as simple as that. I am a very forgetful person here. I'm sorry, y'all. Before we get to our picks, we got to show some love to our good friends. So, roll the tape.
Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pistol 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby.
Get ready for the 4 Horsemen of Pick'ems. every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube.
Yeah, that's right. Me and my boys, the Four Horsemen. We had a very special guest coming in this past Wednesday night. So y'all go check out Alex's channel, A Pizzle 90 on YouTube, and check out the show, check out the previous shows, check out all of his stuff. Great stuff. So now with that being said, let's get to the games.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and before we do that, because I did not include this in the graphic in the graphic this week. So this is how we did both last week and overall for the regular season. So this is week 18 straight up picks. I went 10-6, while Natale and Tim each went 11-5. So I finished 173-99. Natale 171-101. And taking first place in the overall department is Tim with the record of 176-96. Against the spread, I went 11-5 last week. Natale went 10-6, while Tim went 9-7. And overall for the season, Tim led the way again, a record of 144, 123-5 on the season. Natale 141, 126-5. And I went 140, 127-5. So we all we all did very well in the second half of the season. So all of us finished at least 13 games over 500.
Yeah. Oh, also gonna. I think after this, I mean, we should. Wait, actually, I'm gonna ask Flynn if you have this first. Flynn, do you have our original Super Bowl predictions?
So I believe I still do.
Yeah. Now after this, I want us to possibly do our new Super Bowl matchup, because I got a new one. It's gonna be a fun one. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a fun one. You guys are gonna love that. You guys are either gonna love it or hate it.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah. I know where I'm going with where I went with mine, but
yeah, I have to change mine, obviously, because one of the teams that I picked aren't even in the playoffs, so I'm obviously changing it.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and get things going with we have two games tomorrow, Saturday, January 13th. The first one, Cleveland Browns at Houston, and Cleveland is coming in at 2-point favorites. NBC at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central. So, what do you say about the Browns and the Texans? Flynn, what do you got?
Yeah, and as you know, I really like both of these teams during the preseason. You know I was obsessed with the Browns, and you two laughed it off. You two knew I was obsessed with the Texans. You both of you laughed it off. And what do you know? Both teams are in the playoffs, but both teams won 10 games or more. The Browns made the playoffs, and the Texans got in with the division because the Jaguars choked last week in Tennessee. Now, regarding this game, I gotta tell you, this was a tricky game to pick because I think Cleveland is going in a little banged up in terms of their secondary. Grant Delpit is out, and Denzel Ward was battling an illness this week in practice. So, but I think this is going to be a fun game. I think both these teams are vulnerable in their secondary. So I think this is going to be an aerial attack for both these quarterbacks. Joe Flacco has taken the Texans to another, taken the Browns with another gear in terms of the offense. Having Amari Cooper has been great as well, because the last time the Browns were in Houston, Amari Cooper had 265 yards receiving. So the Texans secondary is most certainly beatable. So, but CJ Stroud, I think, is going to be is going to be the offensive rookie of the year in the NFL, and he put on a show in Week 18 against the Colts in a win-or-go-home situation. And Nico Collins would be a great start in daily fantasy. So would Amari Cooper. So I think I expect both big games from both of those receivers. I think the quarterbacks, I think, are going to be great. But I think this game is going to be one of the trenches. I think Cleveland has the advantage when it comes to their offensive line, and I think having Myles Garrett, who was coming off 2 weeks of a semi bye week last week, I think he's gonna have his way here late in the game when the going gets tough, where they're gonna have to rely on the line of scrimmage. So I think with those things in mind, I'm gonna take the Browns here. I think it's gonna be a classic. That they're gonna win this game 31-28. So I'm gonna take the Browns to cover the 2.5 point spread.
All right, Natale, what do you say, sir?
Yeah, I definitely got to give a lot of credit to both of these teams. I mean, I'm proud to admit that I was definitely wrong on Kevin Stefanski. I think he's a candidate for AFC Coach of the Year. That's a possibility. And also, whoever the Texans head coach is, I think he's also a very good candidate.
Yeah, D'Amico. I mean, when Adam Shine, one of the voters, said that his top two for Coach of the Year are D'Amico Ryans and Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, okay, D'Amico Ryans. Yeah, I think he's a solid candidate too. I mean, if I had to pick between those two, I think I would give it to the second guy, whoever it was the Texans head coach.
D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah, I would give it to him in this case. But yeah, looking at this, the Browns have played exceptionally well. Yeah, even though they lost Nick Chubb after the first game of the season, they did just fine. Yeah, Jerome Ford filled in nicely. Yeah, Kareem Hunt did his job too, to a degree. The defense has been pretty solid. I mean, looking at the other side, yeah, CJ Stroud is definitely a candidate for AFC Rookie of the Year. And the defense has stepped up too. This one was actually a pretty tough one. But in the end, I'm actually going to take the away team here. The 4 and 5 seeds are usually a very tough call. But I'm giving it to the team I think looks a little bit better right now. That's the Cleveland Browns. And I'm going to pick them to win this game, just barely covering the points, 28-25.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think 2 of us had Kevin Stefanski on our list of of head coaches that would be on the hot seat for this past year.
Both of you did. I told you it was going to be a mistake. But,
well,
yeah, and the thing is, Natale, 2 of your coaches got fired. The other 3 are in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you had Stefanski, you had Mike McCarthy. I had no idea why either one of you had Mike McCarthy on the hot seat, but maybe that'll change if they lose to the Packers this week. And Natale, for some reason, thought Sean McVay was going to get fired at the end of the season too.
Yeah.
So,
well, anyway, yeah, I agree with what both of you guys have to say. Stefanski and Ryans have just done great jobs for these 2 teams. It could come down to the trenches, as Flynn suggested. It's going to be a great game. But like Natale, I go with a slightly better team, and that would be the Cleveland Browns. I'm taking the Browns to win and cover 27-21. Give me the Browns to advance in this one. So we, I guess we're all in agreement with the Browns there. Saturday night special.
Exclusively on Peacock.
Yes, on Peacock. It's going to be 8 Eastern, 7 Central. This one is the Miami Dolphins at the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead, where the game time temperature will be -4 degrees. And I think Alex said with a wind chill of -30.
Yeah, I mean, I think the weather tells the story now. Yeah, I think the Miami. I hope the Miami Dolphins showed the film of when the Buccaneers beat the Eagles in the NFC Championship game when Rondé Barber returned that interception return for a touchdown because prior to that game the Bucs were 1-21 as a franchise in games played with temperatures with 40 degrees or under. And at one point they were 0-20. So they could definitely look to the Bucs for inspiration on that. So, but here's the thing with this game, and here's the problem here. That in the Dolphins, in the last 10 games played, under temperature in games where temperatures are 40 degrees or under. They've lost all 10 games, so they've averaged just 18 points a game, and they've committed 24 turnovers in those 10 games. And this is going to be the coldest of them all, maybe the third coldest game in the history of the National Football League, behind the Ice Bowl and the Freezer Bowl. The Freezer Bowl, the 81 AFC Championship game, and then the Ice Bowl between the Packers and the Cowboys. But here's the thing, though. I think Kansas City's defense is going to come out to play. I think this is going to be a game that the Chiefs are going to dominate defensively. Steve Spagnuolo, who was a coach for a game as cold as this one when he led the Giants in the 07 NFC title game against the Packers. So I think he definitely can show the experience for that. But well, all that aside, I take the team with the better coach, the better quarterback, the better defense. All those belong to the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to cream the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are frauds this year. That they have not been they've only been one quality opponent this year, and that was by 2 points on a game-winning field goal on Christmas Eve against Dallas. I think that their season is going to end on a whimper. Give me the Chiefs to win this game 29-16 over the Dolphins. They advance to the next round.
Mm-hmm. All right, Flynn. All right, Natale, go.
Yeah, this one was most likely the easiest one to decide. The Dolphins are really beat up right now. They lost a lot of key pieces on defense, and I believe, to my knowledge, Jalen Waddle has been already ruled out for this game. So that's a big blow to their offense already. And pretty much on the Chiefs side, I mean, they weren't as solid as they were last season, but they're still good enough. But I don't know if this would have changed much had the Dolphins won the division. They would have been playing the Steelers. I mean, that one would probably be a lot closer than this one. But I got to go with the team that's obviously better right now, and that's the Chiefs. I'm going to go 34-24. But on the flip side, I just want to do a little hypothetical. Let's say the Dolphins were playing the Steelers. Flynn, would you pick this? Would you pick the Steelers this game?
If the Dolphins won on Sunday night, they would have been playing the Bills.
Oh, sorry about that. So
no, I still would have taken the Bills. If that was the case.
Okay. Oh, I thought the Steelers were the 7th seed, weren't they?
But if the Bills won, if the Bills lost, Pittsburgh would be the 6th, and Buffalo would be the 7th because of tiebreakers.
Oh, okay. My fault. Never mind then. So yeah, but as far as this game goes, yeah, I guess whoever the Dolphins played, I guess it wouldn't have mattered in this case. But yeah, I'm still going to pick the Chiefs in this one, 34-24.
Okay. Well, on the Horseman show, I kind of went a little bit crazy because I thought that the Dolphins would probably pull off an upset. But after hearing that Jalen Waddle's going to be injured and there's some other Dolphins players that might not be able to perform, I'm now going to have to call an audible on this one. Kansas City's defense is just going to be a little too much for the Dolphins offense. So I'm sorry to say this to Alex, but I have to reverse my decision from Wednesday night. I have to go with Kansas City by a score of 24-17. So I think we're all in agreement on that one. Next 3 games are Sunday. The one Eastern game is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Bills. Bills are at home and they are 10-point favorites. Flynn, I said on the Horseman show that this one is probably going to be ugly.
Yeah, I also think this is going to be the easiest game to pick because look, I'm not going to overthink this. The Steelers are 1-10 without T.J. Watt being available, and T.J. Watt, who is going to be the runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year, being out. That is a gigantic deal. He masked all the areas of deficiency with the Steelers in terms of coverage, in terms of in terms of back play, in terms of getting pressure. That's just not going to happen for the Steelers, the defense, when he's not out there. So what the Bills are going to do, what I think they should do in the snow, is run the ball, because that's how they're going to win games. And they average over 160 yards, 150 yards rushing in each of their last 8 games of the regular season. And they can commit to run the football and take the pressure off of Josh Allen. Won't have to make big throws in the snow. If they can do that, the Steelers have no chance. And the Bills defense, they've got dudes, as we mentioned on when we talked about the All Pros. So I'm not gonna overthink this. I think that they'll run wild. I'm gonna take the Bills to win and cover. They win 30-17 over the Steelers. They move on to the next round and cover the spread.
And Natale, what do you see here?
Ooh. Well, this might be a bit embarrassing. There's some, usually during these wild card games, I try to get creative by going with one upset pick, and call me nuts. I'm just gonna cut to the chase. I'm gonna attempt to go bold. It's for me, go big or go home. This is the game I'm gonna do it. I feel like go big or go home here. For some reason, I don't know why. I just have a good feeling about this Steelers team. Ever since Mason Rudolph took over, this has been a completely different team. And yeah, I mean, even without Watt, I think, who knows? Something just tells me I think they'll be okay. I mean, Josh Allen tends to choke when it matters most. I don't know. Call me crazy, but I'm going for it. I'm rolling the dice. This is my game where I got to throw an upset pick in. I have to do it. Give me the Steelers 28-27.
Oh,
I just think this team is different with Mason Rudolph, and Josh Allen tends to choke a lot in the playoffs. I think this is the game where he chokes.
I would go with Mason Rudolph. Other than Mitchell Trubisky, I never trusted him in Chicago. I do not trust him in Pittsburgh. He just needs to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a very, very bold prediction right there. But I think this may be the one game where Josh Allen really lights it up. I mean, yeah, we've talked about how he is great at rushing touchdowns, of course, throwing touchdowns, but then, of course, there's the turnover issues, of course. I mean, there's that, but I think in Pittsburgh, it just barely got into the playoffs by the skin of their teeth, and to go into the playoffs like that doesn't show a good sign of a strong team. So I have to go Buffalo this one. They will win, and they will get the 10-point cover. I'm taking Buffalo 33-23. So looks like Natale's going to be the lone wolf on this one.
I'm going for it.
Next game on Sunday, 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central on Fox. The Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys from AT&T Stadium. Cowboys are 7-point favorites in this one. What do you think, Flynn? This looks like it'd be a pretty good one.
Yeah, because one thing I tell friends at the racetrack is that the eye test never fails, and showing them when you do the eye test on the Dallas Cowboys, you can see that they were the best team in the NFC, not named the 49ers all year. Look, Dak Prescott is going to be, in my opinion, is going to be the runner-up for league MVP this year. When you're looking at the numbers, when you're looking at the performances and how he's played, Dak Prescott has been locked in all year, and he's just been sensational. I mean, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, getting Jake Ferguson involved. That offensive line had 3 players named on the All-Pro team. That defense led by Dan Quinn, who we've mentioned as potential head coaching candidate, particularly for Seattle, where he coached for a few years. That's definitely up. for discussion as well. But I think this Packers team deserves a lot of credit. They are the youngest team by average age to make the playoffs in 48 years. They have a young quarterback. They have super young receivers in their early 20s. So the half of their defense is 25 or younger, and they deserve a lot of credit. But it's a big spot. The Packers have not beaten a team like Dallas's caliber all year long, and I think this is where the Cowboys are going to go back to scoring 35, 40 points per game, like their home average all season long. So give me the Cowboys to win. Give me the Cowboys to cover. This is a team that I still expect to play on Championship Sunday. Give me the Cowboys to beat the Packers 38-28.
All right, Natale, what do you see here?
All right. Yeah, this one I'm going to go in a slightly different direction here. This game is actually my point spread game of the week. Yeah, I see this. I see this being I could see this being a very defensive game for some reason. I don't know why, but Cowboys have a very strong defense here. I mean, Green Bay's defense have been playing fairly well too, led by Quay Walker. And then, Jordan Love has had a very solid season since taking over. This one, but I think this one is going to come down to maybe the last minute or so. Green Bay is going to stay in it, but I'm going to take Dallas to win, but I'm going to take Green Bay with the points. I'm going to go 28-24 Dallas.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing as well. I mean, this is going to be a really good game here. Lots of points scored. Green Bay is going to really make the Cowboys work for it, but I think the Cowboys will pull it out in the end. And I'm going to say, because Cowboys right now have basically 2 home games to start the playoffs, and the most likely thing would go to the NFC Championship game, where they would have to go to San Francisco, where, of course, they had the snot beat out of them back in Week 5. But for this game, I'm taking the Cowboys with the win. I'm taking Green Bay with the points. Cowboys 31, Green Bay Packers 27. The night game for Sunday is NBC, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. It's the Los Angeles Rams against the Detroit Lions at Ford Field, the first ever playoff game at Ford Field, where Detroit is 3-point favorites.
Oh, this is going to be my favorite matchup of the week. Matthew Stafford returns to Detroit, his first game in Detroit since getting traded, the blockbuster trade 3 years ago. And Jared Goff, his the second time seeing the Rams since they traded him, and they slandered him on the way out because the Rams went for the win now. They went for the Ocean's 11 approach under Les Snead, which worked because the Rams won a Super Bowl while the Lions were still recovering and rebuilding. So, but I think it comes down to this, and I think the emergence of Kobe Turner on the Rams defensive line, I think is going to play a big role in this game. It's going to take some pressure off of Aaron Donald, and Jared Goff is a quarterback that if you apply a lot of pressure on him, that he is not going to give you successful results. Now, the Lions' offensive line is excellent, but the change since I recorded this on the Hooked on Sports podcast this afternoon, that Sam Laporta was a full participant in practice on Friday. I think that's a gigantic deal here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how is it going to fare in terms of the game? I was much more confident with my Rams pick before. I'm still going to pick the Rams, because I think they have the coaching advantage. I think Matthew Stafford throwing the ball against the Lions secondary, which is the weakness of the team. I think that's gonna be a factor. So so I would absolutely take a flyer on Puka Nacua in daily fantasy. I would take a flyer on Demarcus Robinson in daily fantasy, going up against their safeties in the slot. I think there are a lot of things that factor in here. So, but this was something another thing I learned over the last month, that that I find that emotional people are easy to manipulate, and Dan Campbell is an emotional person, and the way Sean McVay operates on a game day basis is one of the most methodical in the NFL. Hence why he's always in the conversation for Coach of the Year. Why if there was an NFC Coach of the Year, Sean McVay would be my choice for that. So I think this is going to be a great game, a lot of fun, a lot of anticipation. The Lions have not hosted a playoff game in 30 years. It's going to be a great sporting event. But I'm going to take the Rams. I think they're the better coach team. Their offensive line is underrated. I think their defensive line is outside of Aaron Donald is underrated. They played some good defense down the stretch. And since the Rams bye week, they've only lost one game, and that was an overtime thriller week 14 in Baltimore. So the Rams have been playing at a high level for the better part of 2 months now, and I feel a lot better about the Rams than I do about the Lions. Give me the Rams to win this game 27-21 over the Lions.
Ooh, very, very kinky pick there. So, Natale, what do you see in this one?
Yeah, this game was by far the toughest one to decide. And in my personal opinion, I think this game should have been the game for Monday. This is my personal opinion. Saying that the Eagles and the Bucks for last. I think that's boring. They should have put that one first, get it over straight away. But I'm not the one who sets the schedules here, so. But I guess as far as this game goes, yeah, this one was really tough. This one is my highest combined point total for the week. It's basically going to go toe to toe. I think this game is going to come down to the very last minute, very last second, possibly. This one was kind of you could call it my coin flip game. But when in doubt, choose the home team. I'm going to take the Lions to win this one, 36-30.
Boy, that will be definitely a high scoring game there. Yeah, I pretty much agree with what you guys said here on this one. This is going to be an underrated game here. I would definitely say that. But yeah, Dan Campbell and Sean McVay. These two guys had really led these teams. I mean, after the Rams won the Super Bowl and then the very next year had a total collapse, I didn't think that they'd be back in the playoffs for another 5 years or so. But here they are. But they're going up against a very, very good Detroit team with, as we said, tight end Sam Laporta, one of the best young players I've seen in recent memory. Like I said, he's my dark horse for NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's going to be neck and neck, but in the end, I'm going to give the 3. I'm going to get the 3 point. It's going to be a 3-point win. I'm taking the Detroit Lions over the Rams by a score of 26-23.
Yeah, so you have the Lions by 3, and that's the line. So I gonna do so for the spreads. I gonna do Lions -3 or the Rams +3.
I'm doing Lions.
Okay.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. And last but not least, Monday Night Playoff Football on ESPN, ABC. ESPN Plus, and of course, ESPN2 with Manning Night Football. It is the Philadelphia Eagles against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over at Raymond James Stadium. And Eagles are coming into this one. The only home team with an advantage here, 3-point spread for the Eagles in this one. So, Flynn, what about the Monday Nighter?
Yeah, I talked about the eye test when we talked about the Cowboys. I should have brought it up with the Browns too, because the Browns were one of the best teams I saw. Were one of the 5 or 6 best teams I saw all year. So, but wait, when you do the eye test for the Philadelphia Eagles, especially down the stretch, I mean, they flunked almost every single time. I mean, they lost 5 of the last 6 games, including the last 2 weeks, where they lost the Cardinals and the Giants, 2 teams that are going to be picking in the top 6 in the draft coming up this spring. And they got smoked by the 49ers and the Cowboys, and they should have lost to Kansas City. They should have lost to Buffalo. They should have lost to Minnesota. They should have lost at least one of those 2 games against Washington. The Eagles should really have much more than 6 losses. Meanwhile, as for the Bucs, I mean, they didn't look great against New Orleans or even against Carolina, but the defense has played well. The Bucs have outgained their opposition in each of the last 4 weeks. So the Bucs have been playing some much better football than the Eagles down the stretch of the season. Now, how is it going to fare out in this game? Now, it could be. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a type of game where it comes down to the wire, where it might favor the Eagles, but everything is the eye test, and the eye test favors the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Todd Bowles has a coaching advantage in this one. Never in a million years did I think I would say that in a wildcard game, but Brian Johnson has been a mess. He's not utilizing all the talent he has properly the way Shane Steichen did last year. And how the hell is Matt Patricia still employed in the NFL? I mean, yeah, Matt Patricia torpedoed the entire plan for the Patriots on defense, and then when he left the Patriots, the Patriots defense turned into one of the best in the league down the stretch of the season. And as for what he's done with the Eagles, You can talk about the pencil on his ear, which is laughable because of the way the Eagles defense played and their inability to close games late. Like if Exhibit A, the Seattle loss; Exhibit B, the Arizona loss; Exhibit C, being down 24-0 against the Giants at halftime because of that poor defense and letting Tyrod Taylor and company destroy them for the better part of 60 minutes, really the first 30. So I'm going to take the Buccaneers to win this game. I think the Buccaneers never in a million years did I think the Bucs would beat the playoffs for the 4th consecutive year after Tom Brady left, but they did a great job this year. Took advantage of a weak division. I'm going to take the Bucs to win a playoff game, 27-24 over those Philadelphia Chickens.
All right.
You have the 3 points, Flynn. Are you taking the?
No, I have the Bucs winning. So
my bad.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead, Natale.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this game here, I think, is going to be my lowest combined point total. We got. The Eagles are struggling. I get that. The Bucs absolutely shocked the world by winning the division. Nobody saw that coming. Pretty much, I think all of us here thought the Bucs were going to finish in last place. That certainly did not happen. But yeah, I'm giving the Bucs a lot of credit. Don't get me wrong, but in the end, I'm going to pick the team that has to get it together the most. And that's the Eagles. I think they're going to figure it out here. It's going to be a low-scoring affair, but they're going to win this one, 24-20.
So we got Flynn with the Bucs, Natale with the Chickens, and looks like I'm going to have to break this tie, and I'm just going to be short and simple about this.
Mm-hmm.
When you start the season 10-1,
right,
you are going to be a very tough team to beat.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that start, you lose 5 of your last 6 games. That is like a total free fall right there. And you know what they say, the higher the rise, the harder the fall. And that's exactly what is going to happen to these Chickens.
Ooh.
It's the eye test. As Flynn said, the eye test. You see what's been going on. They're just not as consistent as they were in the first 11 games of the season. And that is going to be their downfall. Tampa Bay has got young talent there. I think Tampa Bay is going to take this one. And because of that, and because of everything that Flynn said, and I agree with him, I'm going to have to do it. Yeah, this is my upset special for wild card weekend. Give me Tampa Bay to take those chickens, pluck their feathers, and send them back. I don't know, why they still call it the city of brotherly love. Ain't no brotherly love with these chickens. Give me the Bucks over the chickens, 27-20.
Hope you guys are right.
Yeah.
But now, I guess with
Yes.
that being said, do we have any new Super Bowl predictions? Flynn, you said you had our lists, right?
Yeah, so before the
Yeah.
season, I had the Chiefs over the 49ers. Natale had the Cincinnati Bengals taking down the Philadelphia Eagles, while Tim had the Dallas Cowboys taking down the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh. I guess since I had the idea, I'll go last. I'll start with you, Flynn. Are you gonna keep your Super Bowl prediction, or are you changing it?
I'm keeping San Francisco. I'm gonna replace Kansas City with Baltimore.
Ooh, and then with who winning?
Baltimore.
So you say if you have Baltimore beating the Niners?
Yeah.
Ooh, 1 seed versus 1 seed. Interesting.
Yeah, the two best teams I saw all year were the Ravens and the Niners.
All right, now your turn, Tim.
Well, I would like to stick with my Cowboys for my NFC representative in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably see the Ravens beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game now. So, and by some strange work of magic, this curse will be over. The 28-year period will be the 28-year drought will be over. Cowboys. I'm still taking the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl.
Okay, so you're keeping your Super Bowl prediction the same then?
Yeah, but this time in the Super Bowl it'll be Cowboys and Ravens. I'll take the Cowboys.
Okay, Cowboys and Ravens. Interesting. All right, so yeah, mine is going to be completely changed. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I almost never do 1 seed versus 1 seed. I think that's boring. I gotta get creative. I gotta go really across the board here and do that's probably something that nobody ever imagined. Well, I'm going to start the NFC side, and it's not going to be the Eagles anymore. I'm changing it completely. I am going to stick with the 49ers, though, as the NFC champions. But brace yourselves now. My AFC East champion for the very first time will be the Cleveland Browns. I have the Browns going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, if we get Browns Ravens in the divisional round, that's going to be a heck of a matchup. It's going to be a war out there. But I will say, if all of my matchups verify, we'll get Browns Ravens and Bills Chiefs. With this time the game being in Orchard Park instead of Arrowhead.
Yeah, and I think. Yeah, I mean, ever since Joe Flacco took over as quarterback, this Browns team has changed for the best. And call me nuts. I'm going to shock the world here. I have the Cleveland Browns winning the Super Bowl. I'm doing it. Goodness. I'm going for it. So the way my bracket turned out, I had the Browns beating the Texans in Wild Card Weekend. Then I have them beating the Chiefs in the AFC divisional round. And then pivoting to the conference championship, I have them beating the Ravens.
Wow.
And I'm going for it. I don't do that 1 seed versus 1 seed. That's boring. Everybody does that. I got to be different.
Yeah, I mean, if we get Browns Ravens in the divisional round, just imagine the pressure that's going to be on Lamar Jackson because Lamar Jackson facing his predecessor. And knowing that the Ravens, that Lamar Jackson has never been to Championship Sunday, so and it's likely the MVP. So all the pressure is going to be on Baltimore if we get Cleveland Baltimore. But
I have that happening in the AFC Conference Championship.
Yeah.
But you have that happening in the divisional round, I believe.
But I would need I wouldn't need either the Dolphins or the Steelers to win to make that possible.
Oh, yeah, true. I have the Steelers winning. That's my upset special of the week.
Yeah, but it would be poetic if we got Browns Ravens to the AFC Championship game because you got the two best teams from the best division the NFL has seen in more than at least a decade.
Yeah, that would be absolutely mind-boggling right there. I
Yeah,
will
yeah,
say that.
yeah. I'm going for it. I mean, I picked early in the season. I picked the Bengals to win their first Super Bowl, and now I'm gonna pick the Browns to win their first Super Bowl. I'm going for it. I'm giving myself a second chance to pick a team winning for the first time. I almost did the Lions. I almost did it. I just couldn't quite do it.
I think the
I
Lions are a
almost-
year away.
Yeah, I almost put the Lions in the Super Bowl, but I did have the Lions. Let me check my notes here. No, I actually did have the Lions advance to the conference championship, but losing.
Yeah.
Because then I had them subsequently beating the Cowboys in the next round, and then losing to the Niners championship weekend.
Well, very, very interesting right there. Seeing we had to change things up a little bit. So, well,
I guess now it's
show's
time
up.
for trivia
Time for-
questions now, right? Yep.
Yeah, it's time to give the answers. And I'll tell you what, Natale, I want to try to answer your question first.
Sure. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull this back up. Let me check my thing here. Whoop. Let me just go back to my browsing history. Whoops. There it is. All right. So we'll go back to my question. Now, this is all right, as we said earlier, the most points that was scored by a team was technically the Chicago Bears. They won 73-0 against Washington, December 8th, 1940. But that was the pre-Super Bowl era.
Right.
We're going to go by today's standards. The most points by one team in the 21st century in the playoffs. This is the divisional game. So taking the era we live in right now. All right, Tim, which team do you believe scored the most points in a divisional round playoff game?
This one team, if it's the one that I'm thinking of, this team would actually go on to win the Super Bowl that year. And yeah, I think I'm going to go with this team.
All right.
The greatest show on turf, the St. Louis Rams.
Okay. Interesting guess there. All right. I'll go to you, Flynn, now. Where were you thinking?
It's, I think, but I think when you're trying to formulate the question, I knew where you were going. So I'm gonna go with 1999, the divisional round. Two teams in the same state. The Jacksonville Jaguars dropped 62 on the Miami Dolphins in Dan Marino's last game.
Okay. That's interesting. Well, I will say this. Flynn, despite having the wrong date, you got the team correct. It was the Jaguars.
It said the 99 season.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I misunderstood you. Yeah, the anniversary is coming up. This actually occurred January 15th of 2000. The Jacksonville. Here's Tim. I'll give Tim a redemption round. So Tim, now you have a 1-in-14 shot here. So Tim, which team do you think the Jaguars beat? Oh, never mind. Never mind.
I already said it.
Yeah, and I just realized it.
Yeah.
I was going to give you a redemption, but yeah, this occurred. Yeah, so the 24-year anniversary of that game is coming up. The Jaguars won that game 62-7.
Yep, in Dan Marino's last game.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, but the Jaguars went on to lose to Jeff Fisher and the Titans on Championship Sunday the following week.
And that was when the Titans went up against
the Rams,
the greatest show on turf.
Yeah.
How can
yeah,
I
but because I saw in 2001 the Rams scored 45 against the Packers in the divisional rounds. But in the 99 divisional round, they put up 49 against the Vikings.
Yeah, but I forgot all about that 62.
I mean, it was the day before that Rams game.
Yeah. But I see something here on this site. If we're going by highest scoring playoff game in general, that occurred in 2010. Actually, the 14-year anniversary just passed. The Arizona Cardinals defeated the Green Bay Packers 51-45 in overtime.
Yeah, I had no recollection of that game whatsoever. But all I heard was that the Cardinals won
Yeah.
in a blowout. I mean, not offensive slugfest.
Yep. All right. How about Tim? Let's do your question next.
Okay. As I said, Joe Flacco, if he can lead the Browns to a win over the Texans this Sunday, he will have 6 victories on Wild Card Weekend, which would be the NFL record. He is currently tied with another quarterback with 5 wins on Wild Card Weekend. Who is the other quarterback?
Yeah, I have a couple of quarterbacks in mind.
I had one in mind, but before I realized other things, wow, this is actually a tough one because you need to think about which team or which quarterbacks one team's good enough to make the playoffs every year, but not great enough to get the first round bye every year and not have to play a wild card weekend, which makes it very tough.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a guess.
I can see John Flynn. I can see Flynn brain working their gears trying to turn a little bit.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the quarter. I was thinking about the quarterbacks from like the '90s, and I know this team won a lot of. I think they won a couple of Super Bowls during that time. I just can't recall if they were wild card teams though or division winners. But I'm going to guess Steve Young of the 49ers.
I was gonna say Neil O'Donnell because the Steelers made the playoffs like every year in the '90s as like a team, but I think I figured a couple of teams, but hold on. But I couldn't go Steve Young because I think the 49ers were too good. Because remember I think every year they played Dallas in the NFC Championship game. They had those two teams had the first round buys. But so I think my definition had to be a quarterback on teams that were good enough to make the playoffs, but not great enough to get the first round bye. So
yeah. My initial guess was Troy Aikman, but I'm gonna go to Steve Young though.
I'm gonna go with Brett Favre.
Flynn just changed his mind at the right time. It was Brett Favre.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Brett Favre. Right now, Brett Favre is tied with Joe Flacco with 5 wild card game victories. So, yeah, I'll give you some credit for that one. I thought he was going to stay with Steve Young, but then he went the other way and said,
my initial guess was Neil O'Donnell. It was from Neil O'Donnell to Brett Favre. I didn't pick Steve Young because of all the first round buys the Niners had. Whether it's under George Seifert or Steve Mariucci.
Right.
But
okay, so Flynn, your question.
Okay, so I asked who the running back with the most rushing attempts in one game this season.
The first name that came to my mind, Saquon Barkley.
All right, Natale?
Yeah, I had a couple names in mind. I was kind of flipping back and forth between Raheem Mostert and Derrick Henry. I'm gonna pick my boy. Henry.
Yeah, I said prior to Week 18, Saquon Barkley was the correct answer. But the correct answer happened in Week 18. Against the Patriots, it was Breece Hall with 37 carries.
Breece Hall.
Wow.
Yep, Saquon Barkley had the second highest with 36. In the game against the Jets, where the Daboll didn't let Tommy DeVito throw the ball.
Wow. Wow, the stuff you learn every day, you know. Man, that's some very, very good questions. I'm actually proud of you guys for coming up with those things. You're gonna have to think of a few more as we go along here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to need to make this a larger part of the off-season shows because it's off-season.
Right. Very entertaining indeed. Entertaining and informative. That's what we try to be. And we hope we're doing a good job at it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is going to put a bow on this package of fantasy football fever. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As you heard earlier, John Flynn dropped his latest episode of Hooked on Sports. So go wherever you find your podcasts and look up Hooked on Sports, and you'll get Mr. Flynn himself. So
Yes,
be
sir.
listening to him. And John Natale, of course, will be back next week. Next week, we'll talk about the divisional round as we get closer and closer to the big game in Sin City. So, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I can't believe it. We're just about. I think we're basically exactly a month away from the Super Bowl, almost.
Yeah. I mean, it was a month as of yesterday.
Yeah, we're basically 1 month away from the Super Bowl. Can't believe it.
Yeah, it's getting. The weather is colder and colder, but the action is hotter and hotter. That's all we can say. That's all there is to it. That's playoff football, folks.
Yeah.
So,
and now that the games have been elevated, now the games have been elevated from regular season to playoffs. This is now more meaningful than ever.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Indeed.
You read my mind, Flair Flynn. You definitely read my mind.
So, were you ready to play that clip?
I was, but you beat me to it. But hey, it's okay. I forgive you from the bottom of my bread and butter.
At least we're on the same page on that. But
all right. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Enjoy the games. Playoffs are here. Hope
tomorrow. Starting tomorrow.
Yes, Saturday nights. Saturday night, 2 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday, and the Monday nighter. So, for John Flynn, for John Natale, my name is Tim McClellan. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Enjoy the games, everyone. Thanks for joining us. God bless you. And as always, be a good sport. See ya.